Let there be light. Welcome, my fellow citizens of the Republic of Zambia. I'm your usual host, Procurious Mwape, President of the Light of Zambia movement. So in today's video, we'll be discussing the topic to do with employment creation. How are we going to create employment opportunities when Ubuntu model of governance is introduced in our country, Zambia? And just to add on that, we'll also be talking about how we are going to be handling the recruitment of civil servants such as teachers, nurses, clinicians, police officers, and all these other civil servants that are charged with the responsibility of delivering service to our communities. Alright, as you may already be aware, in the Light of Zambia movement, what we are proposing is a complete paradigm shift from the way we govern ourselves today to a new system of governance which we are calling Ubuntu model of governance. And the reason why we are heading this direction is all because of the failures that are associated with democracy, the system of governance that we are using today. We've talked about these things so many times, and of course I'm willing to do a recap. So one of the failures, or one of the reasons why democracy is not a good system of governance for Bantu people in Africa, is because democracy comes intertwined with neocolonialism. What that means is we'll have people, external forces that will be controlling or calling shots in our nation. And how do they do this? Mostly they do it by controlling our natural resources. Because remember, our major generator of income in our country must be the mines or the natural resources. So if natural resources are held in the hands of foreigners, then we, the owners, are left with no option on how to generate income. And that's how come we fail to do even capital projects. We fail to provide or create employment opportunities for our people, and so many other bad things that are happening in our country. For example, load shedding that we are experiencing today is all because we do not have money that is able to help us be able to put up power generation facilities in our nation. So democracy, it is a very well established fact that it is a failed system of governance, especially for us as Africans. Maybe because we have another system of governance that is well known to ourselves called traditional leadership. And so when we sat down as Light of Zambia, we came to a realization that possibly the reason why democracy has failed to provide the benefits that we are supposed to be getting from it is because of we are a people that are used to a certain system of governance which we are not using to the fullest today. So we thought of merging these two systems called democracy and traditional leadership. However, the type of democracy that we want to employ in this particular case is one which is called direct democracy. You don't need a representative like you elect an MP to go and represent you in parliament. No, that's not what we want, because this model has failed us. So how are we going to create employment in the Light of Zambia movement? First of all, we have to understand the fact that there is high unemployment levels in our country. That's a fact. It's not something that we can even argue about, because when you look everywhere, you see a lot of young people that are just roaming the streets, having nothing to do. These are energetic young people who are able to produce for the nation and contribute to the gross domestic product of our nation. Now that is not happening because these people, they do not have institutions where they can go and apply for a job and be able to be given a job. So that is a well-known fact. Zambia is not creating enough employment opportunities. And Zambia is not conducive for doing business because we know there are too many taxes, too many levies, council levies, and just too many hindrances that will impede progress of anyone who thinks of starting up an enterprise. So in the Light of Zambia movement, we are saying we have to do things differently if we want to see different results. So that's why we are saying, first of all, we have to change the mode of governance to Ubuntu mode of governance. Under Ubuntu mode of governance, every chiefdom is going to become this semi-autonomous entity, or call it a state if you like. So every chiefdom is going to become more like a state with semi-autonomous power. What that entails is every chiefdom is going to become an economic hub, because they will be able to manage their own budget. They will be able to create employment opportunities for themselves. Well, one would ask, where will they be finding money to do all those things? Remember, in the Light of Zambia movement, we are saying we have to nationalize natural resources. And once we nationalize natural resources, then we'll be able to raise enough revenues for us to be able to finance social programs and projects that will be taking place in all these chiefdoms. And on top of that, to be able to start capital projects and set up factories and industries in each and every chiefdom. So that's how we are going to run it. So now, when it comes to employment creation, what we are saying is, once we nationalize our natural resources, we'll have a lot of money to start with. We are going to create a lot of employment opportunities, because we'll be the ones that will be employing. For those of you, our elderly people who were there during the days of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda when he was president under UDP, and when he had nationalized our natural resources, you can agree with me when I say that in those days, every person that just wanted to have a job, they could find it. Yes, one would argue, no, the population was too small, ABC. No, it wasn't about the population. Even our population today is very small. It is actually too small. Remember, for example, if I give you the population of China, it's 1.4 billion people in China alone. Beijing itself is about 23 million people, and we are only 21. So, 21 million. So, Beijing itself is having more than what we have. Now, Beijing is just a city, or the capital city of China, and it is having 23 million people. And we are only having 21 million, okay, call it 22 million people for the whole Zambia. So this is a very small population. If only we handled well our natural resources, we are able to provide an opportunity of generating enough income to each and every Zambian here in our country. But the reason why we seem to be struggling is all because of the system of governance that we are using. That's why we are saying we have to introduce parastatals, or state-owned enterprises, that will be running these natural resources, or running these mines where we produce our natural resources from. Then from there, we are not going to be exporting raw materials in its raw form to the external market. No. We'll be adding value right here in Zambia. By so doing, we'll be creating more employment opportunities. And that will also consume a lot of our young people, whom today we are calling junks, because they simply don't have what to do. I have always stated to say these people we call junks are people with the capacity of producing for the nation. Give them a chance to receive a decent education, a decent skill, and find them a place where they can find a job. Surely they will be able to do something for our nation, and our GDP will grow definitely. So that's how we are going to, and remember, this will happen in each and every chiefdom. Remember, in the Light of Zambia movement, we are saying once Ubuntu model governance is introduced, then we are going to make sure that each and every chiefdom is having a technical college to provide the skills to our young people. A boarding school, a boarding secondary school, that is. Then we are going to make sure that there is at least a teaching college or a nursing college, so that every chiefdom is almost self-sufficient to be able to train their own human resource and be able to deploy it within that chiefdom. So now that tells us on how we are going to handle the Civil Service Commission, the Teaching Commission, the Prisons Commission, the Police Commission, and all these other commissions. What we are saying in the Light of Zambia movement is, it is not necessary for the president to be the one calling for employment of teachers or civil servants for that matter. It is not necessary. These civil servants are required to serve the communities. And remember that the people that are very close to these communities we're talking about are the chiefs. So let chiefs be the ones to supervise the employment of these community service workers. For example, teachers, nurses, clinicians, police officers. All these can be employed by the chief or in the chiefdom without the president having a hand in that. So the reason why it is always the president having a hand in employing of these civil servants is all because it is a political arrangement. It is something that would gain them some political mileage. But that is not the way it is supposed to be. We have to be employing as need arises. When there is need, whichever location needs more teachers should be able to put up an advert and have these teachers employed. That's the way we should be able to work. But democracy cannot accord us such a chance because every politician, every president wants to sound like he's the most intelligent, is the most hardworking. So he wants to have his hand in each and everything that is happening in each and every community, which I think is not the way to go. The job of the top man is to provide policy direction, not employing of people, civil servants, to go and save the community somewhere. No, that's not the way to do it. So when it comes to the management of these civil service commissions, what we are saying is the people that are domiciled in that particular chiefdom are the ones that should be accorded the first chance of accessing employment in that particular chiefdom. For example, if you are employing teachers in a certain chiefdom, let the chief or the cabinet or the people, remember we've outlined all these things in a video where we're talking about chiefdoms to become local governments. So if you want to get the full picture of what I'm talking about, go and watch that video. So the chief and his cabinet, the people that you'll be working with, the prime minister to the chief and all these other ministers, they'll put up an advert to call for applications from suitably qualified people to become teachers or clinicians or whoever we need to be employed in this case. When that advert is put up, then the people that are domiciled in that area, the people that are found in that area will be the ones that will have a chance, first of all, to access that employment opportunity. What we want to avoid are transfers. Today you employ, then tomorrow someone wants to relocate. That is not good. That is not helpful to our economy. And this issue of employing someone from this, for example, from Luapula province, then you post them in Southern province. There also, we are somehow psychologically defeating ourselves because these people that we are moving across the nation, they have to go and get adapted to the new environment that they are going into. And in the process of doing that, definitely service delivery is hampered. So this issue of employing people, yes, we understand it's one Zambia, one nation, but what we are saying is these local issues like employing of teachers, nurses, clinicians, and all these, management of food security, like FRA, let them be handled by local chiefdoms. You see, it's only these, for example, the defense, the Minister of Defense is the one that should be handled by the state because then we are talking about territorial integrity and maintenance of the boundaries. But these local issues, please let us leave them to traditional leaders. We don't need the man in Lusaka to be the one employing people to go and work in Kaputa, to go and work in Ikeleng, to go and work in Mulobezi. No, it is not supposed to be like that. And I think that is where we are getting it wrong when it comes to employment, or should I say, handling of recruitment of these civil servants. So, brothers and sisters, the only option we have to deliver Zambia for a better future is the manifesto of the Light of Zambia movement. Many people are talking, but none of them is having a new ideology together to make the Zambian people get out of their poverty. Today we don't have roads built. Today we don't have hospitals, like well-equipped hospitals with proper medication in them, or proper drugs or medicine in them. It's all because the system of governance we are using is a failed one, it's a flawed one. So, brothers and sisters, those who mean well for our nation Zambia, please come ahead and join the Light of Zambia movement, so that together we can introduce Ubuntu model of governance and see to it that we change Zambia for the better. So, I think with these few words, I would say, let there be light until we meet in the next video. Thank you.